everyone, my name is Priyanka and welcome to my vlog. Today I'm going to teach you how you can change your mindset and create a positive attitude in your life. Now, most of us struggle in our life because of the way we think. We don't realize that we have a same pattern of thought that we keep on thinking on a loop over a period of time. And because we're thinking the same thoughts, what's happening is that we're creating constant behaviors and attitudes in our life that are very, very negative. And because we are thinking this way, we have now created a shift in our brain. Our brain is made up of billions of cells, and these cells are called neurons. And these neurons help transmit information throughout your brain and your nervous system. And these neurons are connected through synapses that help in communicating between these neurons. Every time you think a certain thought or you have a pattern of thought, you fire and wire together these neurons. And because you do that, you create a change in the way your brain functions. And because you have been thinking negative thoughts, you create a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety and stress. And because you are now living in that environment of stress and anxiety, you think that you cannot change your circumstances and you cannot change your life around. If you've been going through a lot of stress, anxiety, and fear in your life, you need to understand that you have a pattern of negative thinking. And to change that pattern of negative thinking, you have to focus on certain areas of your life. I'm going to teach you how you can come into positive mindset. But to do that, you have to work hard on yourself every day, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that you have been habituated to thinking a certain way. And because you've been habituated to thinking a certain way, you have created certain behaviors and patterns in your life that you keep on repeating. So you have a pattern of eating, sleeping, and talking to people, and then creating decisions based on these patterns. Now, most of the times we don't realize that our decisions are coming in from a very chaotic mind. Now, if you want to change your mindset, you have to follow certain steps in your life to improve the way you've been thinking. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to keep on practicing it. You have to understand that you cannot stop your negative thinking instantly. It doesn't happen that you wake up next day and you say to yourself, oh, today is going to be the day where I will not think negative thoughts. But that doesn't happen. Actually, you have to focus on the way you have been living your life each day. You have to focus on your routines. You have to focus on the way you've been looking at the world. And you have to focus on the way you've been reacting to this world. I'll teach you a few simple steps through which you can change your mindset. But to do that, you have to promise to yourself that you are going to look at your pattern of thought process, because till now you have not paid attention to the way you've been thinking. You simply blame the entire world for the way you're leading your life. You blame your circumstances, you blame individuals in your life, but you do not look at the way you have been perceiving the world and you've been reacting to this world. So now we are going to change the way we're looking at our own selves. Before we look at the world, we have to look at our own selves. We have to go into a phase of self-reflection, because that is where all of the change is going to happen into your life. If you want to make decisions that are going to benefit you, then you have to change the way you've been thinking. You have to change your mindset from a negative one to a positive one. Before you go to bed, just do this very simple exercise. 5 minutes before you're about to go off to sleep, just spend on thinking how you behaved that day. Think of all the things that went wrong, because this is where you're going to access the part of you that keeps on repeating a pattern of thought. Initially, you're supposed to only do this for 2 to 3 days, because that's all you need to reset your mind. Every day for the next 3 days, what you do is you go back and listen to your brain telling you, oh, this went wrong, that went wrong. And then you'll realize that every day is the same thing, because that realization has not come into your mind right now, that you have been thinking the same pattern of thoughts. And when you do go through that realization, what you can do is, starting from day one, a little bit of realization is going to come, but it's sometimes so deeply rooted that it's going to take at least 2 to 3 days for you to fully realize that you have that same pattern of thought. So what you can do is, from day one, just see where your day went. Okay, you're going to have a lot of negative thoughts. You cannot change your negative thoughts, but you can reimagine, because that's what you have. You have a wonderful imagination, but you've been using it all wrong. You've been creating a lot of sad stories and lot of horror stories. So don't do that. What you need to do is you need to now change the way you've been thinking, and to do that, reimagine one simple thing in your life. Just one thing. Don't reimagine the entire thing that's going wrong in your life, because you'll have lots of things that are going wrong. So just reimagine one thing. So you're facing a lot of toxic work culture, or maybe you're facing a toxic relative at home, or you're going through some financial crisis or health crisis. So once you have understood that you have had a very bad day and you've had lots of sad stories that you've told yourself, just reimagine one part of that sad story as improving. So you go to bed telling yourself, oh, tomorrow this sad story is not going to continue. Tomorrow I'm going to have a pretty pleasant day. Tomorrow I'm not going to wake up with any aches and pains. I'm not going to be in a bad mood. Nobody is going to come and talk negatively to me. It's just a very simple exercise. It's going to take a bit of a effort, because you are going to first resist these positive thoughts because you have been thinking the same thoughts. So, as I'm saying, it's going to take 2 to 3 days for you to actually reset and reimagine. But then you start doing it every day. When you go to bed, you start reimagining your next day, and you remove all of that sadness, all of that anxiety and stress, and replace it with what you want in your life. You start saying things that are going to come for you in a better manner. So if you have a boss that's troubling you, you're going to go to sleep with only one thought, that my boss is not going to trouble me tomorrow. One simple thing. You're not even saying that your boss is going to appreciate you, just one simple thing. And things are going to now improve. And maybe it's not going to happen the next day. Maybe your boss is going to come and say certain things to you, but you just watch how you're going to react to that situation. Now, because you reimagined it in your sleep, and your subconscious mind picked up that particular thought just before you went to bed, it's now going to create a bit of semblance in your thought process. Some sort of stability is going to come in. And next day, even if your boss is shouting at you, like he or she has been doing for the past few days, you are not going to react. You're going to take a deep breath. You're just going to look at them and you're going to say, okay, that's it. Do it for the next 7 to 10 days and see how things are changing. Maybe the outside environment is not changing, but you are going to change. You are going to stop reacting. So, when you start doing this exercise, you have to do this exercise when you wake up too, but in a very different manner. When you wake up, spend 5 minutes after waking up. That 5 minutes that you go and drink tea, don't drink tea. Wake up, have a glass of water, and sit down and have that glass of water. Look out of your window, hear a few birds chirping through that window. Sit with yourself and tell yourself, I'm having a great day in terms of my work. I'm going to have a great day in terms of meeting people and have great health. Just small little things that are going to improve your life. Now, this is not a big exercise, but lots of people don't do this. People wake up, they look at their phones the first thing in the morning, and they pick up a lot of feedback, a lot of chaos, and they just wire their brains in certain ways in which only negativity is going to flow through for the rest of their day. Because if you are looking at things that are creating a lot of anxiety, stress, jealousy, depression, then you are now sorted for the day. You are going to think only those thoughts because you looked up and you saw some reels, you read some news, and that is how you are setting your day for a disaster. So, if you want to set your day on a positive note, you have to spend at least 5 minutes after waking up with yourself and thinking thoughts that are for your betterment. Second step is that you need to consciously cultivate this habit of positive mindset. Now, that doesn't mean that you want cracking jokes the entire day. Or if something wrong is happening in your life, you look at your life and just say, oh no, I have to cultivate this habit of thinking positive thoughts. No. What I'm talking here is that every time you go into a pattern of thought that is coming in from your past, maybe it happened yesterday, maybe it happened 10 days ago, or maybe it happened actually 20 years ago, which you get up every day and you think thoughts that are from your past. So whenever you travel to your past, you have to stop that travel time. You have to bring yourself out of that phase where you start thinking negative thoughts based on your past. So you do this very simple exercise. Create a clock, you create a timer. Every time you travel into the past, you note how many minutes you spent thinking about thoughts that are from your past. First time you actually start putting on a timer, you're going to notice that you spent at least 20, 30, maybe an hour thinking about people who did something wrong to you in your past, are going to be shocked by the time that's coming on your timer. Every time you do that, you have access to phones, you just put on a timer and see how long you have been sitting in that past. And then you start reprogramming your mind. Every time you travel into the past, you get a reminder in your brain that last time spent 30 minutes thinking about this person from my past. Today, I'm only going to spend 2 minutes. And from those 30 minutes, coming down to 2 minutes is a big win for you. And then you're going to stop entirely. The only way you can stop going into your past is when you start going into a realization that, yes, I've been spending a lot of time. I've been wasting a lot of time thinking about things that are not working out for me, and I am wasting my precious time on this earth just thinking about people and events that happened in the past. So, this is a great way of coming into the present. The third step is to self regulate your emotions. Now, most of us don't pay attention to the emotions that we are feeling. So, we go through lots of emotional upheavals in life and we carry those emotions with us. Every time someone says something to us, we go and access those emotions. So, I call these emotional houses. This is a term coined by me that, you have these emotional houses. You access an angry house, then you access a sad house, and then you access a jealous house. Lots of houses, lots of emotions, and you go and sit in these houses and then you mop your way around your life. You think that your life is never going to change because you don't want to change the houses of emotions that you're living in. So if you're living in an angry house, you'll keep on living in an angry house because of an individual who created some sort of drama in your life. Now this is where you have to start imagining yourself sitting in a house. This is an exercise for your imagination, because the only way you can come to that realization is when you start realizing that you are always sitting in an angry house. Now, this angry house can be a red house with lots and lots of red paint. You don't want to sit in a house with red paint. You don't want to sit in a room that is full of red walls. And you don't want to be there. You want to live in a house or where there's lots of light, there are white walls, and there's breeze flowing in. Probably it's near the ocean or it's near a garden. You imagine yourself to be sitting in such a house. And once you do that, you are going to remove yourself from that angry emotion. To change the way you have been feeling by accessing your emotions every time you go through a trigger. Whenever you're triggered in life, just understand what house you're first living in. Because once you have access to that image, you're going to change it. Then you are going to sit for 2 to 3 minutes just with yourself and imagine changing your house. Imagine getting up from that angry house, that house that has red walls and it's very dank, it's very bad, it smells bad. You just getting up from that house, moving through the street and entering a house that has beautiful gardens, has white walls, has lots of beautiful pictures, a sea facing view, and you're sitting in your backyard and just looking at that ocean, and you can feel the breeze, you can feel the ocean breeze, you can feel the calm energy of that house. And that's how in 3 minutes time you're going to simply change your emotions, because that's what you need to do. You need to reprogram your mind, and you cannot reprogram your mind simply by saying to yourself, oh, I'm going to reprogram my mind, I'm just going to change my emotions. You cannot change your emotions that fast. So you have to imagine it. You have to get out of that emotion that you're feeling right now into a better one, because that emotion is not serving any sort of purpose in your life. To change the way we look at ourselves. Now, we have created an image of ourselves based on the feedback that we have received from people around us. So it can be our parents, it can be our siblings, it can be our peers, and we create this image of ourselves in our mind, and this image lacks a lot of things. Do this simple exercise: stand in front of the mirror and look at yourself, and then tell yourself that this is a great individual, this is a beautiful person, this is a person who really enjoys life. Can you say that to yourself while looking at yourself in the mirror? Let me tell you, you will not be able to do that because you have an image of yourself that is not working out for you. And every time you look at yourself in the mirror, you cannot see yourself more than 5 minutes. You look at yourself and then you just want to walk away from that image of yours. You can't do that. You cannot stare at yourself for next 15 minutes standing in front of a mirror because you've created a perception of yourself that is based on feedback that you get from people around you. So now you need to change your perception of your own self. Simple exercise you can do as soon as you wake up. You go and brush your teeth. You look at yourself in the mirror and see yourself in a new light. You introduce a thought about yourself that is good for you. So even though you are obese, you look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm a beautiful person. I'm very fit. I am enjoying my life. This simple exercise is going to help you look at yourself in a new light. And because now you're going to say these words to yourself, let me tell you, when you come at the breakfast table and sit at the breakfast table, you are not going to put extra butter on your toast or on your parathas, because that is how you're going to change your image. Because now that image that you have had for so many years in your mind is changing internally. So you're going to escape all of that junk food craving because of one simple step. You're going to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, even though you're overweight, that I am a fit individual. And let me tell you, that simple thought, if you practice it every day with conviction, is going to change the way you eat, because that's all. You need to have a different conviction about yourself, a different perception about yourself. Just try it for the next few days and see how you're going to make different decisions here and there. And this is where you actually understand that your mindset needed a change. All this while you've been thinking negative thoughts, and because of your negative thoughts, you've been creating decisions in your life that are not good for you. Now, because you're changing your mindset, you're creating more positive thoughts, you're changing your own mindset, you're changing your decisions. The fourth point is to create more dopamine and serotonin in your lives. But we do it wrongly. We think that having a chocolate is going to release dopamine in our mind and it's going to make us feel happy, yes, for a little while, and then the guilt is going to come in because you went and treated yourself to a chocolate when you're supposed to go off sugar. So that is not how you release dopamine in your brain. The simplest way is to behave childlike. I have seen individuals who are grown up and they have this childlike quality in them, and trust me, they're happy all day round. Nothing affects them. You know why? Because they have not killed their inner child. If you're a person who's very, very stubborn, who believes in having this individuality that's all about being correct and informed, and you don't enjoy if someone is giggling in a corner despite their age, then you are an individual who's going through a lot of stress in life. You are going through a lot of anxiety because you don't have access to that childlike quality within you. You have to be childlike. Simple things can create those childlike patterns of behavior in our life. There must be some activity that you would have enjoyed as a child, maybe playing a violin or painting or skating. Anything that would have brought joy to you as a child, you've forgotten that activity. Now, as an adult, you don't want to do it because you think that, people are going to look at you and say, oh, you're not a kid anymore. That is what's wrong with everybody in this world today. They've forgotten to be a kid. You've seen how a child lives through a day. They fall, they get up. You don't remember what happened yesterday. This childlike quality is missing from adult life, and because of that we are taking in a lot of stress. We only think of negative thoughts. We don't have any passions. We don't want to live a good life. We simply want to create a lot of stress and anxiety in our life because that's what we do every day to ourselves. Whatever you love doing as a child, be that individual that you want to be. Don't wait for that happiness quotient to increase in your life, because that is never going to happen. If you think that If you get a new car, a new house, you go on vacations, you're going to be happy, yes, for a little while. But if you go into a state of being like a child, you are going to be happy throughout the day. You don't have to go on a vacation to be happy. Going on a vacation is more stressful than leading your actual life. This is what we as humans are turning out to be. If you see a muddy pond and you want to get into that pond and catch frogs, do that. What's stopping you? I'll tell you what's stopping you. Simple phobia that people are going to look at me and claim that I'm a mad individual. Be a little mad because that's all you need. And if you think that catching a butterfly or running behind a butterfly is something that you cannot do because you're 40 or you're 25, then yes, you're going to age very fast. You're going to look far older than your age. You're already looking like that because you have forgotten to be a child. Go hug some trees. Yourself some sort of relief. Send a little of this burden that you have been carrying on your shoulders. You are carrying so much of burden of this life. This life is like a burden to you now because you don't know how to be a child anymore. Every day you have to be a little bit silly. And to do that, all you have to do is access the inner child in you. So I hope you love my vlog. If you love my vlog, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And thank you for watching and see you with the next one.